Breaking right now, Lady Colin Campbell has just revealed Meghan Markle's secret plan. She's going to be here to explain much more in just one moment, but first, let me take you through it. So, Lady C posted, I don't know whether to laugh or cry at what I'm being told. Meghan Markle is evidently ecstatic at the hat trick she's pulled off. She's been boasting that Harry's on side and helping her achieve their, i.e., her goal of achieving billionaire status by maximising his royal position in a subtle, i.e. underhand way, as he follows her strategy of proving to their backers that they're the most newsworthy and therefore relevant royal couple globally. They've calculatedly and deliberately set out to prove to Netflix that they can snatch public attention away from all of the other royals, including the King and Queen, as well as William and Catherine. They not only set up the launch of her line to coincide with their Majesty's Italian trip, but also tacked on Harry's trip to Ukraine, thereby ratifying their status as the world's #1 newsworthy global superpower couple. In furtherance of this claim, Meghan has evidently been exhibiting unbridled pride that A, her podcast Confessions of a Female Founder is an outstanding success despite the criticism of it being dull, boring, and an ego fest, and even more importantly that the viewing figures haven't been that great but have been bearable enough for her to spin it as more of a success than it has been, and B, that the outstanding success of the sold-out launch of her As Ever line of products will definitely result in her making billions sooner rather than later. So we now know why Harry risked his life to return to the UK. It was to avail himself of the publicity his court appearances guaranteed. And let's not forget the added bonus that one of their more faithful Sussex Squad followers contributed when she disrupted the proceedings in the entirely safe vicinity of the carefully screened High Courts of Justice as she shouted out her support for him and thereby put his life in jeopardy, presumably from the spittle which magically never endangers his welfare when they pose for photographs together elsewhere. Even more enlightening was the danger to which this hero, known to the MCs such as Trevor Colt as Bunker Harry, exposed himself as he was subjected to a barrage of photographic flashes while cocooning himself in the indubitable safety of the capital of war-torn Ukraine, thereby proving that the United Kingdom is far less safe than a war zone, as well as Colombia and Nigeria. Lady C concludes, I hope Ted Sarandos realises how lucky he is to be in bed with a couple as brave and resourceful as Meghan and Harry. Subverting the message of Machiavelli is one thing, but Nurse Ratched would doubtless be able to confirm that even the insane have method to their madness, and none more so than a publicity-hungry, albeit destructive and totally irresponsible couple, such as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So, Lady C, you have rumbled their plan. I found this absolutely fascinating. Can we start by talking about the money, the moolah, the big bucks? She's determined to become a billionaire, and it seems like the way that she's going to do it is by constantly stealing attention away from the genuinely good work that the real royals are doing.
Yes, but Dan, do you realize how many tens of millions of an item you would have to sell to end up making hundreds of millions, much less billions? I mean, the figures don't stack up.
Especially given she's only made like a few hundred of these things.
Lady Colin Campbell just spilled some seriously hot tea. Meghan Markle apparently believes she's pulled off a hat trick by aligning Harry's moves with her quest to become a billionaire. And the strategy? Hijack royal news cycles, manipulate timing, and make sure everything they do overshadows the real royals.
Exactly. And I mean, again, it's BS. Everything around this whole launch and everything around what they're presenting is absolute BS. It's false claim after false claim. She is an admitted believer in if you want it to be so, think as if it is, and ultimately it will be a sort of cat-handed manifestation. When she can manifest it, she's blue in the face. the fact of the matter is there is no way of those products and the reception that those products have had, that she is going to ever make hundreds of millions, not even tens of millions. You wait for it. I mean, there is, barring a miracle, in 18 months from now, the whole thing will have quietly died a death. I mean, miracles do happen, and maybe they will happen to her. But also, she is showing how desperate she is, because she is selling or trying to hawk, would be a better way of putting it. Whereas where Charlotte's attire is now being recommended by Meghan. I mean, that's really a bridge too far where William and Catherine are concerned, because Meghan it's one thing for her to be merching herself and Harry's children, but it's quite another for her to be merching the Wales children. And that's exactly what she's been doing. And let's wait and see what happens. I think desperation stakes. The woman is so desperate. And the irony is, had she been less desperate, and had she been a nicer person than she is, and had she been a more decent person than she is, much of what she wants would have fallen into her lap. I don't think she'd ever have achieved billionaire status, because she's only married to the second son of a monarch, and they don't have any money to speak of. But I mean, she could have used that as the basis for doing a Jackie Onassis, and a Jackie Kennedy, and married an Harry Onassis. But she can't do it now, because billionaires like decent arm candy, and they like women who are going to be admired and who will reflect well upon them and give them kudos. Meghan Markle doesn't give anybody kudos. I mean, she's shown that she's dragged Harry from being the second most popular member of the royal family into the most reviled member of the royal family. And it's all been done under her ministrations. And I mean, I can't see any billionaire in his right mind ever making off with her. So I think her options are really pretty limited. I suspect Harry's going to have a lot more reeling in happening to him, because without him, she is nothing. And in fact, with him, they are nothing.
Let's get specific. She launches her As Ever brand to coincide with King Charles and Queen Camilla's Italian tour. Then tacks on Harry's Ukraine trip to feed the press frenzy. What does that say? They're trying to be the most newsworthy royals on the planet, even if it means undermining the institution they walked away from. Meghan's been boasting that her podcast and product line are crushing it, even though critics call them boring and ego-fueled. But that's not the point. For her, the illusion of success is the brand. This isn't business, it's a vanity project.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? And unfortunately, that makes it increasingly likely that Harry is going to be trapped in this toxic relationship until it is too late, until he realizes it is too late, although I'm not one of these people that has any sympathy for him, that's for sure. But I do feel like what we're going to see, Lady C, is an increasing bid to go where the obvious money is. And the obvious money, let's just be honest, isn't in scam jam. It's in cosmetics. It's in the Kardashian style of product. But the problem that she's got there is that the Kardashians have authenticity, right? Now, you can dislike them. You can hate the fact that they've become the most famous women in the world because Kim released a sex tape, or her mum released a sex tape. But the point is, Lady C, they've always let it all hang out, literally and metaphorically. And as a result, people really feel like they know them. There's a degree of authenticity. I think with Meghan, with all of her ongoing projects, we know, and the public knows, because the public isn't stupid, that we are never seeing the real Meghan, because the real Meghan is the bully, the Elton John-like figure, screaming like a diva. And again, with Elton John, you forgave it because you actually saw him. I mean, I remember doing interviews with Elton John where he's been screaming at his staff and utterly furious, and that was part of his magic. It's a bit like Mariah Carey. With Meghan, she wants us to believe that she's some sort of salt of the earth, ordinary person, just an earth mother, when indeed it's quite the opposite. She's probably, in fact, I would say she is the biggest celebrity diva in the world when it comes to the demands that she places on her poor staff members.
Well, Dan, I think that you've touched upon several issues. The first one is Mariah Carey and Elton John have talent.
Very true. Very true.
In much the same way that Daniel Barenboim, the famous conductor and pianist who is, he's been with the Berlin Philharmonic for years, and he does the East-West Duan, which is because he's Israeli. And he, when Israel tried to cancel Richard Wagner because of his anti-Semitism, Daniel Barenboim quite rightly said, no, he's written some of the most beautiful music of all time, and I don't care that he's anti-Semitic. The fact of the matter is the music and the man, or the talent and the man, are two separate things. Well, Meghan has no talent. Well, I rephrase that. The talents she has are hidden. So let's leave it at that. And that's what, and I know that she has hidden talents because I have been told by, shall we say, someone who has experienced her hidden talents.
The mind boggles, but I'm sensing what you're saying.
Fearsomely good she is in certain departments when she puts her mind, and I'm using the word reservedly, to it. But so
I was going to say, I assume you're not referring to her acting.
Oh, I am referring to her acting. Did you ever see Jane Fonda in Clute? Checking to see if they've run out of time.
Well, I've actually seen Meghan Markle on 90210, and again, let me just leave that there. But yes, I understand what you're saying. She doesn't get away with that behaviour because there's nothing really to back it up.
Here's where things get really shady. Meghan is allegedly using associations with William and Catherine's children to sell products. That's not clever marketing, that's crossing a line. You're merging your own kids into brand deals? Fine. But dragging the whale's kids into it? That's desperate and downright disrespectful. Lady C nails it. Had Meghan just played it cool, been kind, and respected her position, she could have had a lasting legacy like Jackie O. Instead, she chose to be a headline chaser hustling products like a Kardashian, without the authenticity or charm that makes the Kardashians work. This was brutal but on point. Elton John and Mariah Carey have earned their diva status. They've got talent. Meghan, not so much. Lady C says her only real talents are hidden. And well, you can read between the lines there. The contradictions keep piling up. One minute she's preaching feminism, the next she's selling the image of a wholesome mom baking in the kitchen. It's all fake. And audiences can smell that from a mile away.
No, there isn't. And if there were talent there, and also she's claiming to be a feminist, but she wants women back in the kitchen. And she's claiming to be a liberated woman, but she's going to go, I'm a 1950s housewife, and the best thing in life is to be a mom. And it's also phony. I mean, the woman is a total phony. And well, as she herself has said, she's a fraud. And people react adversely to fraudulence. And if she had talent, people wouldn't mind that she was a cow. But because she has no talent and she's trying to sell you how wonderful she is, is. And you know she's not. Nobody's buying except the broken down Sussex squad. And that's why she's never going to be a billionaire either.
Now, Lady C, I've got to ask you about this royal news from earlier in the week. Let's just look at this post from Richard Palmer, former editor or royal editor of the Daily Express, who posted Jason Knauf, former CEO of the Royal Foundation and ex-communications secretary at Kensington Palace, has been appointed chief executive of Prince William's Earthshot Prize. Hannah Jones, who's stepping down after 4 years, will continue to provide KP with strategic advice. Now, all well and good. I'm sure he's done a very good job at the Earthshot Prize. What is obviously most fascinating about this is that Jason Knauf is the man who called out Harry and Meghan's bullying. Given William has just given him another promotion, making him the entire head of the Earthshot Prize, which is probably the thing that William is currently pinning his legacy to, or certainly I would argue one of a handful of projects that he is pinning his legacy to, makes you believe that there was no way Jason Knauf allowed those bullying revelations, allowed that email to be sent without the approval of his principals, Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales.
Well, of course, Dan, it could not have been done without their approval. And William and Catherine were both absolutely outraged that Meghan was flaunting herself around and abusing people, and Harry was backing her up. I mean, they were absolutely furious about it and outraged. And also, they understood that if something had not been done about it, which really meant that Jason Knauf then had to sort of act upon the talk, that it was only a matter of time before footmen and maids were going to be selling to various journalists on Fleet Street for 200 or 300 or whatever the going rate is for a story that Meghan had done this, Meghan had done that. So they actually had to nip it in the bud, and they nipped it in the bud. But William and Catherine, I understand, run a very tight but considerate and relaxed is the wrong word, but unpretentious would be a better word, unpretentious ship. While Harry and Meghan were busy wanting to run look how great and grand we are, and everybody just has to bow down and scrape and abusive. They were abusive, and William, and quite rightly, and Catherine will have backed him up on this, thought, no, absolutely not. This is not going to happen. But this was also an attempt in the early days to rein Meghan in. Because you see, if you remember, one of the main things Meghan had going for her was that she was able to control Harry, who had needed to be reined in from before. He wasn't as abusive as Meghan, but he was difficult. And with Meghan, he became more manageable.
This was a massive reveal. Jason Knauf, the man who leaked the bullying emails against Meghan, just got promoted by William. That tells you everything. William and Kate approved those revelations and stood by their staff. And it wasn't malicious, they tried to help her adjust. But instead, she weaponized her position and started laying the groundwork for a move to California, far away from royal rules and accountability. As Lady C puts it, Meghan was never interested in service, only in status. This part was surprisingly emotional. The future head of the Church of England skipping Easter, the most sacred day in the Christian calendar, isn't a great look. Family time is important, yes, but being royal comes with sacrifice. And if they start dropping the ball on tradition, how long before the public drops them?
But then Meghan took over and became the big bully boy. And so there was all of that going on. And they tried to rein Harry and Meghan back in. And one of the ways they tried to rein them back in as well was to inform me of what was going on and spark my interest. So I would write Meghan and Harry, the real story, which would be a shot across their bow, the way I had written Diana in private. And that was basically why I was informed of what was going on. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that it was to rein Meghan in, so that and also they understood about all of the commercial deals that she was, and her behavior was just so totally inappropriate and shocking. I mean, if she'd been in a company, they'd have pitched her out on her ear. But since they couldn't, they tried in various ways to rein her back in, so that she would, because they really genuinely thought at first that Meghan would appreciate the fact that she was a member of the royal family, which is the most prestigious position on earth, permanent position, I should say, and that they couldn't get their heads around the fact that actually she was just a cheap and vulgar hustler who had already activated her plan to move them to California, where she would be totally beyond everybody's control, and flogging dead horses for bucks. And so I think that's what happened. And Jason Knopf was absolutely, William and Catherine were 100% behind him. And everything that has happened since shows that Jason Knopf is respected, and that he is rewarded, and that he is on his way to being revered as a truth teller. Let's put it like that.
Oh, big time, big time. Lady C, it's Easter weekend. Can I just ask you about the decision that was first revealed by the Daily Mirror for, well, they call her Kate Middleton, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Prince William, to skip the Easter service after a discussion with King Charles. Now, the Daily Mirror reports that the prince told the king of his intention, rather than asking the king of his intention, to miss the annual gathering, to enjoy some extended time as a family over Easter. A source said they are choosing to spend time together as a family before the children go back to school. Now, of course, the Walesians didn't attend last year because it was just weeks after Catherine's cancer diagnosis became public. But do you think this is a concern for William not being there at what is a, let's be honest, very important diary date for someone who is going to end up being head of the Church of England?
Lady C says it straight. Monarchies only survive when they respect both tradition and progress. Optics matter. Duty matters. And skipping Easter, especially now with Meghan and Harry grabbing headlines, just feeds the idea that the firm is fading. In the end, Meghan Markle's grand plan is all about perception. But the public isn't dumb. You can't build an empire on fake narratives, forced brand launches, and ego-driven projects. The cracks are showing, and if Lady C is right, this empire might fall long before it ever hits billionaire status.
I think it's a great mistake. A monarchy only works if there is a balance between progress and tradition. And in a country such as this, which has an official religion which is being ignored left, right, and centre by the government, and it has to be said, by the monarchy, I think it is a grave mistake. I don't think it costs them very much. And really, I don't care what it costs them. They should understand that their duty is their duty. And just as how I do things I don't want to at times and have to do them to keep my ship afloat, if they don't want to have holes bored in their ship, they better start to make sure that they tend to to the welfare.
Yeah, I'm actually with you. I'm with you. I understand his desire for family time. Of course I do. But this is Easter.
Sorry?
I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah, it is the most important day in the Christian calendar. It celebrates the Christ's resurrection. It is far more important than Christmas. It is, and if William, I don't care that William doesn't do religion. What he does privately is his own business. The fact of the matter is, he is the Prince of Wales, and if this is too big a sacrifice for him to make, he's going to discover that people who support him aren't going to want to make the sacrifices that are necessary to support him. So sacrifice is a two-way street. I think it's a huge error. That's my take on it.
And Harry? He's already neck deep in it. The sad part? He may not realize the full cost until there's no going back. That's the breakdown for today. If you're as shocked by these revelations as I am, hit that like button, subscribe for more royal reality checks, and drop a comment. Do you think Meghan's billionaire plan will work? Or is this another Hollywood fantasy on borrowed time? Let me know down below.